Alright, this one's going to be cringe-worthy. This is a unit that was shipped in for repair, and I think someone played football with it at the post office. You'll see what I mean in a second.
Well, I got a box from the piece of equipment shipped in that's well, I mean, this is how it arrived. I haven't opened it yet. I'm scared what I'm going to find inside. What am I going to find inside here? Well, let's crack it open and see what damage has happened. So this box got kind of beat up. Hopefully what's inside it isn't beat up. I don't even know what this is yet. Something that was shipped in for repair. So hopefully the beat up box is not an indication of the condition of the unit inside. It could be wrapped up pretty good here, but we'll find. Oh man! Well, it was a Video 8 deck, but they beat the living crap out of it. Jesus! Wonderful. Well, the face is all smashed on this. This looks like an EVC3. Is that what it is? This is an EVC3 that has been destroyed in transport. Wonderful. Well, we'll see whether we can get the unit working. But the face is all bust up on it. That sucks. Where's the rest of the pieces? Like half the pieces are missing. Where'd the rest of the pieces go? Did they fall out of the box? They're certainly not in the box. This is all that's here, but as you can see, the rest of the face is kind of missing. There's this part. There's the lens, however it went together. That part's there, but looks like that. I don't even know. It looks like the button's there. That part's there, but I mean, geez. I should get a hold of the guy before I even start on this thing. Just send him pictures of it. Well, he'll see this. He'll see the pictures, but this is just. I mean, the unit might still function, but it's certainly not going to look pretty with all this front panel that's smashed all to crap and pieces missing. I guess that's part of it too. So I tell people, overpack your stuff when you're shipping it in, because the posties just don't give a crap. They just throw stuff around. When I picked this up the other day, I told him that the box was kind of beat up, but I hadn't opened it because he was curious as to whether it arrived. Yeah, it's at the post office. I picked it up, but today we're into this unit, and hopefully it's just cosmetic that's damaged. I mean, it's unfortunate because it's the fun of it. If it was the back corner that got damaged, who gives a crap? But this is the front of the machine. But I guess what matters here is whether I can make this thing work. Whether I can make it work. And I actually have another one of these machines here that was sent to me a long time ago, but it's one that I have not been able to get going. It was one that the guy that owned it got into it and tried to change a bunch of parts, and it's just not. Yeah, there's some more. This is more pieces. I guess maybe the pieces are here. Maybe it can be glued back together. I don't think so. But anyway, I say I do have another unit, but I can't really rob the part off it because I haven't been told to dispose of it. It was brought or sent to me a couple years ago, and it's sitting over in a pile of things that might get looked at again at some point. But as I say, cosmetic parts. Well, we know that it's beat up. Let's see if it can be made to work. You wonder why the post office people are hated by anybody. It's not just the post office, okay? I'm singling them out here, but I've had packages from FedEx and all of the carriers that have arrived in this condition. So it's not just the post office, it's all of them. So I'm not raising a middle finger at the post office, but I am at all the carriers, because I've seen stuff I shipped out. Now this is going back probably 30 years. I had a Conrack commercial monitor. Weighed quite a bit. It weighed probably 60 pounds, like a 15-inch professional CRT monitor. I had 3 of them. I've still got 2. They came out of the truck at the TV station I worked at when they put in new Tektronix monitors. They pulled the Conracks out that we had in the rack, and I ended up with 3 of them. I think I got them for $25 a piece. And I really only was using 2. I had the third one because it just was part of the 3, and I had 2 of them mounted in a rack in my editing console at the time that I've now since long dismantled. But these were pulse cross monitors where you could delay the horizontal and vertical and see all the timing information and everything. They were great for inspecting video. Anyway, since I didn't need 3 units, I figured I'll just auction one off. I was probably going to auction them all off because I had gone to nonlinear editing and I just did not need this equipment anymore. So anyway, I put one of them up on eBay, and I think it sold for maybe $25. This is back in the day when CRTs were still around. They still rule. Like, this is long before we had flat panels, but it was a professional monitor, so I figured I'll sell it. And I forget what I got for it, but it wasn't much. People bid on it. And it was either $25 or $35. It wasn't much. So, but I got what I paid for it. I paid $25 for it. So I got what I paid for it. So I was happy to get what I paid for it. And of course, this thing required a big shipping crate. I had to get a wooden crate for it. Had to buy, and the guy paid for the crate. I wasn't covering anything. He bought the crate. Oh, this is all falling apart. He bought the shipping crate, and by the time all the smoke cleared, it was like close to $400 because he bought the shipping crate to put it in, and all kinds of foam, and we packaged this thing up in like a travel case, a big wooden crate, and anyway, the shipping on it because of the weight, it was ridiculous. It was like $250 or $300 in shipping. Like, I made nothing selling the monitor to the guy. It was all shipping, and it went back to Newfoundland. And when it got to the other end, the picture tube was broken. The wood crate was smashed on one corner, and the picture tube was broken inside. And the guy wanted his money back, and he wanted all of his money back from eBay. And I said, no, that's not going to happen. I'll give you your $25 or $30 that you bid on the unit, but I'm not refunding the money you spent on the shipping. Make that claim with the carrier. That's one of the reasons I don't sell on eBay, because, let's just put it this way. eBay gave him his money back, but I'd already spent the money from PayPal, and they never got the money from me. Okay, so it was simple as that. It wasn't my fault. This was a problem with the carrier, but they were taking it out on me. So these goddamn carriers, it's anyway. This thing here, I don't know where to even begin on this, because I don't know whether there's going to be more damage. Maybe I should inspect and look for broken boards and stuff on here as well, and look for anything else that may have been done. That resistor looks like it's kind of bent down, maybe from the impact. I just don't know where to even begin, so I'm going to just give this thing a good once over. I can see a guide that's up here and a guide that's down here. See this? We've got one guide that's up and we've got one guide that's down. So we've got mechanical problems on this machine right at the start. So let's pull the bottom off of it. And there's still pieces falling out of it. All the plastic. There's where the rest of the front went. It's all falling out of the unit. I don't know whether this is going to be, whether I'm going to be able to save the patient, but we'll give it a go over and see whether this one's repairable or not. This one may just end up. The guy that owns it now, I've already sent him pictures of the damage, so I haven't heard back from him yet. But I'm sure I will hear from him soon. Even the bottom's bent here, like this. See that? That's bent. What else is damaged on here? We know that it's not going to have a front cover, that's for sure. If I can get it to work without the front cover, that might be all we can do on this one, is to make it work without the front panel. That board is twisted. This is bent as well. I don't see the board broken, but I'm just going to put all the broken pieces in the box. I'll open up the circuit board here so I can take a look under here. This appears to be bent. This is bent. This arm here, this foot is bent. Like, what did they do? Play football with it? It kind of looks that way. It looks like this thing got really. I don't think this was a casual drop. This looks like it's taking a good tumble because this is bent in. Because the circuit board, when you lift it up, is supposed to clear this, and this is bent. Well, this is bent here. You see, this piece is bent. This is twisted in. This whole frame is bent. Because this board should not make contact. This board should swing up, but this piece is bent in. Yeah. What else is damaged on here? The board should swing up without hitting that corner. The board's supposed to flip up like that for accessing the VCR section underneath here. I think one guide may have just come undone. Maybe the gear's broken. We got to lift up the bottom board here to take a look at that and see what shape the mechanism's in. I'm just concerned that there's more damage that I don't see, like cracks in circuit boards and so forth. That's my concern, is that there's hidden damage that is not apparent to the eye from here. But just looking at how badly twisted this mechanism is. Undo this screw here. Flip up the board and take a look at the take a look at the mechanism. I think this guide might just have come undone and is out of position. Is what's happened on this. So if I can get this guide back in place, that guide's come undone. Okay, if I can get this guide back in place and get it back onto the control arm, we might be able to test this thing. But yeah, this guide is disconnected. I can see the control arm right here. I'm just going to operate the loading motor manually. So using my power supply set to about 3 volts, I'm going to just slowly advance the mechanism enough that I can get that. You can see it down here right now. I can see the arm. I need to grab this and pull this forward so that I can get it up here more, where I can work with it and get the guide back in place without having to pull the whole mechanism apart. So I'll just apply my power supply here and just tap it slightly while pulling the guide, or pulling the control arm in place. There it is. I don't want to let it fall down, so I need to keep it in place. There we go. So that should get me where I need it to be. This is the control arm. Maybe I can use a flashlight at the same time so I can see what I'm doing. It pulls this out into place so that it doesn't go into place. I can bring it down out of the way, and then I can bring the guide back. And basically what I have to do is I have to slide the control arm into where this pin is so that I can reset it. Now this is tedious work, but it saves taking the entire mechanism apart. It is possible to do it. I've got the guide so that I've got the control arm so I can see it. And now I'm just going to bring the guide back into place so that I can try to slip the guide in and get it lined up. The key is it's got to slide under a little, the pin's through, that's why I got to push the pin up. Pin is pushed down, so we'll slide the pin up and then get this thing into place. And then with any luck I can get the guide aligned with the hole. Get the pin back through. There we go. I think I've got it in place now. It's hard to tell. Maybe not. Looks to be right over top of it now. So if I can push the pin down and see the pin go through the linkage, then I know I've got it. I think I've got it. Now, look, I got the linkage in now. I can see the pin going through and it feels like it's attached to the linkage. Can you guys see it down here? It's right down here. I don't know if you can see it. Let me zoom the camera in a bit so you can see what I've done. So you'll see the little copper piece here. See the piece moving? So the pin is now through the linkage and it is linked. And you can see when I move the guide, you can see the gear moving. So I have the linkage reattached. Whew, that was a lot easier than it looks, actually. This is how I learned to do this stuff, to save a ton of time, because the last thing you want to have to do is rip the entire mechanism apart to reseat these guides when they come loose. Make sure that that pin's all the way down. We're going to glue this in place. I'll put my power supply on here and we'll watch the guides move back and forth as go through the loading and unloading process. And then I can put some crazy glue on here and I know that that part of this is fixed. So let's load the guides completely. Oh, I got to put the spring back on for the pinch roller. So here's the spring. Over here I just released it. We're going to pull this back and put it around the pinch roller. Alright, now when I apply power, 3.2 volts should be enough. The mechanism goes into the loaded position just like that, and when I put the power on in reverse, the mechanism will unload just like that. I'm going to put the mechanism about halfway through so that I can get my crazy glue in here, and we're going to glue these pins so that they can't unseat again because they've come loose. So these have to be pushed down both sides. Let's put some glue in there to make sure that they don't come undone again. Looking for my crazy glue that the top broke off before it completely dries up. It's still good, I think. It might be drying up now. I broke the top off of it, so it's going to run out pretty quick. Okay, let's get this drop of glue where it's going to do the most good, right on top of this, to hold that pin in place, and we'll do the same for the other one. How do I know the glue is still good? Because when I put it on my fingers get stuck together. That's how I know that the crazy glue is still good. Good to the last drop, as they say. You plug back in the power connector, and then we will find out whether this thing is trashed beyond repair or whether it's just the front panel is broken. I'm hoping it's just the front panel is smashed, because if the unit is usable, then the guy will probably be okay with that. But I didn't break it, so there's not a hell of a lot that I can do to try to remedy this. Alright, throw a couple screws in here to hold the bottom in place. I don't know whether the board's broken. See, this is bent. See, this is bent here too. The way the board is just kind of sticking up like this. This is bent down. Oh, the chassis is broken here too. Look at this. Look at the front loader. The front loader is also broken in this corner. I guess I have to pull it out of here. See if it will latch back in. Screw in the front here that holds. See, this is all bent. Yeah. Man. Oh, this is broken. The plastic is snapped on the front loader here where it screws in place. So that's part of the problem right there. See if I can glue this back in place. Good luck. And try to glue this front loader back in place. You can see where it's snapped. Otherwise, it's not going to load right because the tape will be going in crooked. I just don't want to. I gotta be careful that I don't get any on the gears. It's got to go directly to this mount. Otherwise, that's going to create headaches. Okay, I'm going to let this sit and just set up for a while, and then we'll try reassembling it and powering it up and see whether this thing operates. I'm optimistic that the unit will work and that the owner of it will just have to deal with the missing. I mean, the buttons are all labeled here, right? Rewind, forward, fast forward, stop, pause, power, eject. So the buttons are all labeled, so it certainly can be operated without the front panel. It's just gonna not look very nice, but if he's got tapes that he needs to transfer and wants to have a little 8mm VCR working, they can certainly, if I can get the VCR working, then at least we're part of the way there, and he can always try to find another broken one and get the front panel off of it. That's a best case scenario. Alright, this has had enough time, I think, for this epoxy to set up. Find out momentarily whether it's going to work or whether we're back to square one. Seems like I've ruffled some feathers over in Europe when I was knocking their 240 volt killer power supply. Someone telling me how much more efficient it is. Typical Europeans ignorant that they don't know that in North America we are on a 240 volt supply. Every home has 240 volts. I have two plugs here in my workshop that have 240 volts on them. It's just that we have a split system, so we have both. We have 120 and 240. Because everyone knows that getting a shock from 120 is more of an inconvenience. When you get jolted by 240, you feel it. You end up on your ass. 120? Yeah. Don't even notice it. I'd rather get bit by 120 than 240, that's for damn sure. Okay, I'm going to plug this thing in and see if it does anything. Well, I don't have a display here. I do have a power light. The display is out. Oh, I think this is not good. As soon as I powered it up, I've got lights lighting up here. I don't have a display. I think we've got a broken board on this one. You know, I mean, the way that this thing was bounced, I wouldn't be surprised if the power supply, you see how the board would flex like that? There's a lot of weight in here, but this unit's not turning on. When I plugged it in, it should have retracted the guides immediately. I've got backlights lit up here. You can see the backlights lighting up here for the display, but there's nothing on the display. There's no indication. All the lights are lit up. I've got the pause light, the record light, the play light, and the power light is lit as soon as I powered it up. I have a sneaking suspicion that the damage is a hell of a lot worse than we first thought, and that this unit is probably not economical to repair, because when it's been damaged like this, you just don't know how much damage has been done. Is this board damaged? Have we lost the voltage? Is the front panel board damaged right here? It looks like it could be damaged right here, but who knows? I mean, this was all twisted. This is where the damage was. This frame was damaged here, right? So I think at this point, unfortunately, I'm going to have to just let the guy know where he stands on this one, and may not be able to get this one running. It's unfortunate. I was hoping that it was going to work, but when a unit has been beat up in the postal system like this, you just don't know where to start. I don't see any obvious cracks, but that doesn't mean that there's not damage, that there's not cracks on the board that can't be spotted easily. It's more than likely on the front board here, because this is where all the damage occurred. And you can see, if we look at the circuit board here, if we look right down here, this is the back side of the board where that stress is. You can see the discoloration. I don't see cracks. I don't see any real, I don't see any visible cracks on here, but I mean, you can see it right here too, stress. I don't see a break, but obviously there's something that's happened. And when it's got power, it's not doing anything. The display is not lighting up or anything. So where do you start? Right, that's the thing. Where do you start? Give it power and it just lights up immediately. The lights come on. Right. Nothing does anything. You know, all the lights are lit up. Well, not all, but 3 of the lights are lit up. You've got power. You've got the record, play, and pause all lit. You see the lights are bent here as well, right? Like it got hit pretty good, enough to bend the frame. So I'm going to leave it at that. Let the guy know. I've already let him know that it's been damaged, but he'll see the video, and then well, we'll decide what to do next. But I don't think this one's going to be fixable. I'm going to pull the power supply board out just to see whether there's a break on this one, because losing a voltage will certainly cause weird things, right? If there's a crack on this board here, if I can get the board out, there we go. Is this one damaged? I don't see any damage. I don't see any cracks on this board. Just taking a close look. We'll check for some voltages here. A 10-volt supply, 5-volt supply, 6-volt supply, 5-volt supply, 5 volts, 0. I would say that the power supply is working. I've got all the different voltages that we would expect to see. So the problem is somewhere else on here. More than likely the front board is damaged. That's where the microprocessor and everything is. So the way that it's locked up like that with all the digits or the lights staying lit is a pretty good indicator that the microcontroller is not starting up. It controls the mechanism, and it's likely a damaged trace or a damaged board or something has been damaged. So I'm going to, at this point, I've already spent time to fix the problem that I saw initially, which was the guide that had come loose, even though I was hopeful that it was going to work, but I'm not hopeful anymore that we're going to have any success with this machine. And even if we do, the amount of time required to try to find out what damage has happened due to it being impacted like that, that just would not be economical to repair. If I was going to guess as to where the problem is, we got a bad board here, because you can see it warped, right? You can see the bending of the board here, and that's just from the chassis itself. This sustained a lot of stress. Won't even sit in properly. It's bent to the point where it won't even sit properly, so I would guess that the problem is on this board. Anyway, I'm not doing any more on this. We basically have a door stop. It's unfortunate, but it's not worth fixing. Now, if this one becomes a throwaway item, maybe we can use parts off of this one to get the other one that's been abandoned here running. That's the only faint hope, is that if this one's going to be scrapped, that parts from this one can be used to fix another one that I've got sitting here. Anyway, that's all I'm doing on this one. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next one. Bye.